Oh, what a great sound it is to hear that pep band, to see these students packing the place. We are at Fiserv Forum to tip off Gavitt Games Week on Big East Shootaround. Great to be with all of you. John Fanta here from the Cream City, the home of the reigning NBA world champion Milwaukee Bucks. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll be joined by NCAA Senior Vice President of Basketball, Dan Gavitt, the son of Dave, who established the Big East Conference and who these games are named after. Plus, keys to Marquette's big showdown with number 10 Illinois. A visit with St. John's head coach Mike Anderson, who leads the Red Storm against Indiana later this week. Plus, a special feature on the Music Man of the Big East. That's Seton Hall Impact transfer Jamir Harris. Let's head to the headlines, and it's the Gavitt games that tip off tonight. After these games were called off last year due to COVID-19, the sixth edition of these tip-off games features some marquee matchups. A rematch of the 1989 title game, Seton Hall at number 4 Michigan tomorrow night. How about Tom Izzo taking his Michigan State Spartans into Hinkle Fieldhouse for what should be a ruckus atmosphere as the Spartans take on the Butler Bulldogs in a big litmus test for both. St. John's, Indiana, two of college basketball's winningest programs of all time. That comes at you on Wednesday, and to cap it off, the Ohio State Buckeyes' first visit ever to the Cintas Center. Ohio State Xavier on Thursday. Tonight, it's all in the state of Wisconsin. You've got Marquette, the first major game of the Shaka Smart era. They will take on Illinois, now ranked in the top 10 at 7 Eastern time. That'll be followed by Providence at Wisconsin. Let's go in the metropolitan area. Two teams in the New York groove. I'm talking about Seton Hall and St. John's. The Pirates thumping both Fairleigh Dickinson and Yale this week, only allowing 44 points to Yale yesterday in an impressive win. Meanwhile, for St. John's, a commanding win over St. Peter's after a dominant performance over Mississippi Valley. And what stands out about the Red Storm? I think St. Peter's head coach Shaheen Holloway said it best. From their starting 5 to the 5 off the bench, there's no drop-off. Tariq Coburn is a super sub for this team. Posh Alexander and Julian Champagny are the constants. The Johnnies have better size. And speaking of size, Seton Hall has the 22nd average height in college basketball. They are long, they defend, and the Pirates are a really intriguing team heading into a matchup at Michigan on Tuesday. For headline number 3, we look at the new coaches in the Big East in Chicago and Milwaukee. Tony Stubblefield for the DePaul Blue Demons and Shaka Smart for these Marquette Golden Eagles. A special week for both these coaches as Shaka, after his first win, was presented with the game ball from his director of athletics, Bill Scholl. And look, for Marquette, this is a retooling team. It's a young group. They need Daryl Morcell, the Maryland transfer, and the sophomore Justin Lewis to charge them. A little bit of havoc. Those principles defensively, they're in the fold here as Shaka Smart looks for a redemption tour in Milwaukee. And meanwhile, in Chicago, Tony Stubblefield takes over a program that has not been to the NCAA tournament in nearly 2 decades. This is a refreshing scene for Blue Demon Nation. To see Stubblefield and his team, they looked collected. They looked like they knew what they were doing last week. There was a purpose to them. We'll see what will happen at Wintrust Arena Thursday evening when they take on Rutgers. It's time for the best in Big East hoops from the past week. And for that, we send it to Matt Schumacher, who had the call for some Saturday night Hinkle magic.
Beach knocks it three-quarter court.
The Bulldogs going on to beat Troy. Bryce Enzi, Bryce Golden, an intriguing front court. The return of Aaron Thompson to the Dogs. His 2021-22 season debut comes on Wednesday night when Butler welcomes in Michigan State. Coming up after the break, we will visit with the NCAA Senior Vice President of Basketball, Dan Gavitt, to talk about the state of the game and the Gavitt games.
Monday on FS1, the Gavitt tip-off games begin.
Here we go.
As the Big Ten and the Big East collide in matchups that are typically reserved for March.
Oh my goodness!
First, number 11 Illinois faces Marquette.
Bang! Send it in!
Then, Providence takes on Wisconsin.
Oh, what a ball game!
The Gavitt tip-off games begin Monday at 7 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox.
Part of some live TV, and isn't it beautiful, Dan Gavitt, to be in a building with a pep band? You see the students running in here to the Fiserv Forum, the start of the Gavitt tip-off game tonight. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure, John. It's great to see you. And, what a relief to have fans back in college basketball. Spectacular venue. My first time here. We have a first and second round of the NCAA tournament here this year, so we're excited to be in Milwaukee and in this beautiful facility. And I'm excited to see two really good teams play, too, with fans.
Absolutely. A great atmosphere here expected tonight. And I think it's really special, Dan, because in this conference series, this is the one conference series that's named after someone. That's named after your dad, Dave, and the impact he had. And I think what's interesting is everybody knows that your dad established the Big East Conference. Not everybody knows the tie-in with the Big Ten. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, he had great relationships with coaches and administrators in the Big Ten. When he was a coach at Providence College, he coached against Coach Knight and Gene Cady, and had so many relationships. Michigan State, of course, with Judd Heathcote. Many relationships in the Big Ten that extended way back to his coaching days. And of course, he had a very close relationship with Jim Delaney, the former commissioner of the Big Ten, and of course with Val Ackerman, the Big East commissioner also. It was really the two of them that spearheaded this series, and he would have been really pleased in particular because he was always concerned about how the season of college basketball started, and to have matchups that got fans' attention and got opportunities for players to get excited. So to be able to have these high-level matchups just a week into the season would have very much excited him on a college basketball front.
You think about energy, and the name Shaka just gives off a buzz to it, and that's Shaka Smart taking over the Marquette Golden Eagles back in his home state of Wisconsin. What do you think of this tie-in here as he takes this job?
I'm thrilled for Shaka, a great friend. I've got such enormous respect for him as a coach, as a human. He's going to do great things here. It's a great fit, so congratulations to Bill Scholl on that hire. Great for the Big East to have his legacy and talent, as part of the conference now. And he's going to have his hands full, of course, because the league is good and it's deep. But I know he's excited to be here, and he's going to build great things here at Marquette.
We saw Villanova at UCLA on Friday night. We saw Texas go out to Gonzaga on Saturday. Now you have these 8 matchups this week between the Big East and the Big Ten. Just how much does this mean for the game?
It's a great thing for college basketball. I mean, you start with the Champions Classic on opening night, and then you mentioned 2 incredibly high-level top 5 games this weekend, both played by 4 excellent teams at a high level. Now you've got these 8 games this week. It's what college basketball fans want, and it's really, I think, what players want too. I mean, players that come to programs like these, they want to play in high-level games. Of course, they're going to play some other games that will help prepare them for their conference season as well. But when you dream about being a college basketball player, you dream about playing high-level matchups like this.
It was really amazing, Dan, what was able to be pulled off last year in Indianapolis. There was a buzz during the NCAA tournament. It wasn't the same as having a building completely packed and having those different regionals and all that buzz leading up to crowning that national champion. As we see people coming into the building tonight, as we see a pep band here, one of many atmospheres across the country, what's your outlook on the season going forward this year?
Very optimistic. I think fortunately with the vaccine, we've come such a long way. A year ago, we hadn't even started the season yet. We had to delay it by 2 weeks, as you know. The hard year last year, but I'm glad we were able to play a college basketball season and the tournament. But we missed the fans, we missed the band, we missed the cheerleaders and the mascots, and the experience is not quite the same. So we're definitely going to plan the tournament and hold it in all 14 locations around the country, from Dayton in the first 4 all the way through New Orleans in the final 4. Excited about being here in Milwaukee for a first and second round, and it'll be great to have 100% fans back. We had some in Indianapolis last year, but it wasn't quite the same, and it'll be great for the players to have that kind of atmosphere to play in.
These sounds, this vibe, I'd like to think it's a piece of heaven. What do you think your dad's thinking upstairs right now?
Yeah, no question about it. he's sitting in front of the TV with friends, former coaches and players, and looking forward to a couple of great matchups tonight. Wisconsin's the place to be in college basketball tonight. Two incredible matchups in this Big Ten and Big East matchup.
Might be accompanied by Al McGuire watching tonight.
Yeah. You know, how about this? My dad played for Al McGuire. Al McGuire was the freshman basketball coach at Dartmouth College when my dad was an undergrad. So he played freshman basketball for Al McGuire, if you can believe it.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And doesn't that show this world of college hoops?
It's a small world, man. Yeah, small world.
Dan, thanks for the time. Good luck with everything this year.
Thanks, John. It's great to be with you always.
Great seeing you. That is Dan Gavitt, the Senior VP of Basketball at the NCAA. We will continue rolling here on Shootaround after a quick timeout. Take a break here in Milwaukee.
Monday on FS1, the Gavitt tip-off games begin.
Here we go.
As the Big Ten and the Big East collide in matchups that are typically reserved for March.
Oh my goodness!
First, number 11 Illinois faces Marquette.
Bang! Send it in!
Then, Providence takes on Wisconsin.
Oh, what a ball game!
The Gavitt tip-off games begin Monday at 7 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Monday.
Thank you to Dan Gavitt. Does such a terrific job at the NCAA as a Senior Vice President of Basketball, and a pleasure to be with him. Let's talk about this matchup here tonight. Number 10 Illinois at Marquette. It's the first meeting between these two programs since 1993. Golden Eagles have won 4 of the last 5 meetings. They won the most recent one way back in the early 90s in Milwaukee. And when you think about the keys to this game, Maryland transfer Darryl Morsell has to be the leader of Marquette offensively. Think about the fact that in his career at Maryland, he didn't have one 20-point game. He now has back-to-back 20-point performances for Marquette to start out his time with the Golden Eagles. For Illinois, they are missing Kofi Cockburn, who's serving the 3rd game of a suspension due to a preseason violation. So Coleman Hawkins, the sophomore big man, has taken on the role of that anchor inside and taken it on excellently. In fact, he is 8th right now in the KenPom National Player of the Year race. Coleman Hawkins. Remember that name, the sophomore is a high-level player, and we'll be looking out for him tonight. And then additionally, in this game, I think it's really important for Marquette to try to apply the pressure to Illinois. You have to figure out a way to make Andre Curbelo a little bit uncomfortable, because if Curbelo has space, he had a 68% assist rate in the Illini's most recent game. Just an excellent point guard. Curbelo could be the best guard on the floor tonight. Can Marquette find a formula to contain him? If you don't, he can dish, he can make plays, and he can score it too as well. Let's meet an impact transfer. We talked about Darryl Morsell for Marquette. How about Jamir Harris for Seton Hall? He not only is a sharpshooting addition for the Pirates beyond the perimeter, but you can hear his tracks before every Seton Hall game at the Prudential Center. Harris has a talent for music as well. Here is the music man of the Big East, now playing for the Pirates.
Look out, Jamir Harris. That's what he does. He can shoot it from the outside.
It is great to be joined by Seton Hall impact grad transfer. He will be dialing it up from downtown this season. It's Jamir Harris coming from American and back home to New Jersey to play for the Pirates here in his grad transfer year. And Jamir, it's great to be with you, and you have been glowing about this place, what it's meant to you to be back in your home state to finish out your college basketball career. What is it that makes Seton Hall home for you now?
Just the fact that it's, like you said, in my home state. It's a big time program. And, just being here, the family atmosphere, and the aura of the organization just feels really family oriented. I can't really say that any other place I've been at has felt this much like home as Seton Hall does. So since I've been here, I've had no trouble transitioning at all, just based on the fact that, they accepted me as one of my own, as I said during the dinner as well. But it's a family atmosphere here. I call it home because I'm home, in my home state. everybody here accepts me as a part of their family. So I really enjoy being here, and I can't wait for the season to get started.
Organized for deep. That is amazing. This kid Harris, what a welcome.
Beyond basketball, you have a love for music.
Absolutely.
How did that start?
Well, I always sang a lot when I was younger. I was singing all over the place. I used to write poetry. I just like to put words together that rhyme. I always used to do that. It just came one day, I was writing a poem, and I was like, you know what? This sounds like I can make a song with it. So, I just tried it, and ever since then, I loved it. I try to get into the studio as much as I possibly can, especially in the off season, to record music and make music. And like you said, I have a love for it. It's a passion of mine as well. Besides basketball, of course, but it's something I'm very, very interested in, and I want to keep pursuing.
To my understanding, you write something for the team intro video this year?
I did. I actually did. For the hype video. I'm very, very excited. I'm very grateful that Pete and Gabe, are willing to use it. I made it for that reason, for the team to hear it and to have it going into each game.
Your favorite 3 to 5 artists that you've been inspired by?
Ooh. Drake for sure. Just his ability to sing, rap, touching different genres. He does some, Afro, Caribbean type music as well. He touches everything. His versatility is something I really, really admire. J. Cole, with his lyricism, the way he plays with words and stuff like that is very, very unique. I like that a lot. I try to implement that in my music.
Jamir Harris, we look forward to watching you in a Seton Hall uniform this season. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We should mention that the track that you just listened to underneath that interview is courtesy of the American grad transfer, Jamir Harris, and we thank him for giving us the rights for his music in that feature piece, and that's a terrific piece out there, and you can catch Jamir Harris and the Pirates in action at Michigan tomorrow night, a 9 Eastern time tip on FS1 against the 4th-ranked team in the nation, the Wolverines. Some great stuff there, and really fun to learn about the personality of a player. Jamir bringing the music and basketball to the hardwood. Let's turn to Friday night's action in Los Angeles. A recap of a top 5 game that lived up to the hype. Villanova paying a visit to UCLA. And the Wildcats found themselves up by 10 with less than 10 minutes to go in this game. Yeah. That was fantastic in every way. I mean, anytime a buffer's opening things up, you know it's going to be a big game. From the corner, Villanova able to find their three-point shooting as the first half went on. Then in the second, Jermaine Samuels had 20 points in this game as Kyle Lowry is looking on. Colin Gillespie, he looked like the All-American that he was named in the preseason. For the first 30 minutes of this game, Gillespie was in total control and really had Villanova rolling. This, boom! Jermaine Samuels with a big-time, thunderous hammer time to put Villanova up by 6. Just over 2 minutes to go. You think here, tough finish in the lane. Brandon Slater and Justin Moore teaming up there. Moore with the bucket to make it a 4-point lead. But UCLA would keep on coming. Tough shot that falls right from the elbow. Johnny Juzang coming up clutch. This game even at 67. Final seconds of regulation. And it's Moore who just can't finish. We go to overtime. And in overtime, it was Juzang and Jaquez who just came up huge for the Bruins as UCLA finds a way in OT 86-77. This is the type of game that Villanova, we've seen them win this game a number of times with a double-digit lead with less than 10 to go. In this one, on this night, it was UCLA that showed that Final Four appearance was no fluke. Villanova will be fine. And between Gillespie and Samuels and Moore, they've got the trio. Can they develop a bench? Only 4 bench points on Friday night. Only 8 for UCLA. Folks, it's early. It's early. Like I heard last week from a couple coaches, you almost play 2 seasons before you get to the big season come February and March. It is a marathon. To start off the marathon, St. John's is 2-0. And after this timeout on Shootaround, we'll hear from their third-year head coach, Mike Anderson.
The St. John's Red Storm are off to a 2-0 start, and they will pay a visit to Indiana in the Gavitt games on Wednesday night, 9 Eastern Time on FS1. We're joined by Johnny's third-year head coach, Mike Anderson, now. And, Mike, you said after the 91-70 win over St. Peter's that your team has the potential to be really fun. Why do you say that?
We have, first of all, I think we have a lot of interesting parts to our basketball team. I think the way they play extremely hard. They play together. They play unselfish. And we try to play fast. And more importantly, I encourage our guys, the practice of where we really work, the games are fun. So that's why I talk about fun. Basketball should be fun. And it's fun to have fans back in the stands.
You talk about fans being back in the stands. On Wednesday, you'll be on the other side of that with a true road game at Assembly Hall, one of college basketball's great venues, to take on Mike Woodson's Indiana Hoosiers. When you've taken a look at the Hoosiers here right off the bat, Mike, what pops in your head?
Well, the size, the athletic ability. Of course, Mike Woodson's a great, great coach. Jackson kid. Johnson, I mean, you go on and on. The Stewart kid, they have some new players that they brought in there. But it's a team that has size, athletic ability. They play well up until this point. Defensively, they're playing a lot different than they did in the previous years. And I had a chance to play against them when I was at Arkansas. I played them twice in the same year, once in the NIT and one at Arkansas. So it's a great, great atmosphere. And now we found a little bit more about our basketball team as we go on the road. But we're playing against a top 25 team in Indiana. They got guard play, they got forwards, they got guys coming off the bench. And it's going to be a very, very tough environment. But hopefully it's something our guys are looking forward to as a great opportunity to go out and find a little bit more about our basketball team, where we are at this point in time.
Mike, this is the week of the Gavitt tip-off games, and it's the 6th edition of these games between the Big East and the Big Ten, honoring the life, the legacy, the impact that Dave Gavitt has had on college basketball. When you think about this conference challenge between these two leagues and what Dave meant to the game, what comes to mind?
It's the epitome of basketball. When you're talking about Big East basketball, just basketball in general, what he's brought to the game. And I think this is a great, great way of honoring him as we talk. You look at what he did at Providence, the Big East, with USA basketball. I mean, it's amazing how someone who helped one of the founders of the Big East, his contribution to basketball, and it continues. The Big East dismantled, and then they got back together again. And here we are having an opportunity to play in a game like this here. It'll be my first Gavitt game, so I'm honored to play in it, and it means a lot to basketball and especially us in the Big East.
Mike Anderson, we look forward to seeing you in action. Johnny's and Hoosiers Wednesday night. Those brands speak for themselves in this game, Mike, right?
No question about it. You're talking about two of the winningest programs in the country, and we get to toss it up in a packed house, a national-wide audience. Should be a great, great atmosphere.
The St. John.
Yeah, it really should be special at Assembly Hall coming up on Wednesday evening. You're talking about the state of Indiana taking over the Gavitt games on Wednesday. Michigan State and Butler, and then St. John's, Indiana. That is quite a doubleheader slate. And 4 teams that need to show something. They really need to show something because NCAA tournament status for each of those teams, there's a thought that all of them can be there, but you need these types of games. And this is why the Gavitt games are such a meaningful event. The 6th edition of these games tipping off in just moments on FS1 coming up 7 Eastern Time, 6 Central. Thousands ready to go at the Fiserv Forum. Marquette and Illinois. The key to this matchup for me is Shaka Smart's defense and what they can do in terms of creating some havoc, in terms of creating some tempo, and trying to make Andre Curbelo the head of the snake for the Fighting Illini. Can they make him uncomfortable, or will Curbelo have success? Later tonight, Providence and Wisconsin. The key is simple. Where's the offense coming from? Because these two teams defend. What is going to happen, and can the Friars get the real A.J. Reeves to hit perimeter shots, or will Johnny Davis and the Badgers find enough offense to win what should be a rock fight in Madison? Coming up tomorrow, it's red versus blue. It is all about Nebraska. When Creighton pays a visit to Lincoln, the key for me is which freshmen step up. Both these teams are so young. Who is made for the moment in this rivalry clash? Also, later tomorrow evening, you've got Seton Hall traveling to number 4 Michigan. And what I think is really interesting about this one is Seton Hall's size. You're talking about a team that has 3 rotation players at 6'10" or taller. How do they combat the All-American Hunter Dickinson? What Seton Hall does defensively against Dickinson, massive tomorrow night. On Wednesday, Michigan State at Butler. Aaron Thompson comes off his suspension. So for the Bulldogs, they need Aaron Thompson to drive the bus. They need Chuck Harris to score. For Michigan State, they are in an interesting predicament because offense has been a little bit up and down. Are they going to get Gabe Brown to be consistent? Can they get Hoggard to make plays as well? 2 backcourts. Who is going to have more in sync rhythm offensively? Also Wednesday night, we told you about it, Johnnies and Hoosiers. Mike Anderson said this is a night where we're going to find out a lot about what we have. You know what my key is for that? Indiana has an All-American type player in Trace Jackson Davis. St. John's has more depth, though, than the Hoosiers. Does the depth pay off? Or do they let Jackson Davis dictate the night in Bloomington? Thursday, Ohio State at Xavier. E.J. Liddell on one side. What do the Buckeyes do beyond him? And for Xavier, are they going to be able to knock down perimeter shots? Nate Johnson and Adam Kunkel got to start to knock down perimeter looks. Just 6 for 29 for the Musketeers against Kent State. Paul Scruggs can lead that team, but they need more than just Scruggs. Look for Colby Jones to come up big. And then to round things out on Thursday evening, Rutgers at DePaul. And I think what's key is DePaul has stressed length. Nick Ongenda gets in some foul trouble in their most recent game. But the Minnesota transfer, Brandon Johnson, who has met Rutgers before, had a 20-point performance for DePaul in their most recent win. So what happens on the other side with Ron Harper Jr. and Cliff Omoruyi, the Scarlet Knights, heading to Chicago? 8 games, all with storylines to them. That is the Gavitt tip-off games. That's what this event is about. And you can catch it on FS1, 7 Eastern time. You've got Brandon Gaudin and Donnie Marshall on the call for Illinois and Marquette. And then coming up later, you've got Kevin Kugler and Onions. Bill Raftery, the governor, is back for Providence at Wisconsin. For our producer, Kevin Bronthen, Bobby Mullen, Ben Piasek. Folks, the Gavitt tip-off games are here. And you've got Shaka Smart. You've got the Marquette Golden Eagles. You've got Illinois coming in this building. Right now, Zach Brown Band's playing Chicken Fry behind me. Let's play some college basketball tonight and do it Gavitt game style. I'm John Fanta. Enjoy the night, and make sure you're stocked up with some popcorn.